hold you at 8 o'clock.
Okay, we're running.
Please stand for flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In conformance with the Open Public Meeting Law 1975, Chapter 231, adequate notice of this meeting setting forth the time, date, place, and purpose of this regular meeting through a notice posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, mailed to who have requested and paid for same, and published in the Suburban Trends. Roll call, please.
Mayor Sarah.
Here.
Council President Riker. Here. Councilman Bay.
Here.
Councilman Deline.
Yes.
Councilman Giaconetti.
Here.
Councilwoman Polidori is excused.
Yes.
Councilman Bennett.
Here.
With us this evening is our Borough Attorney Joseph Ragno and our Borough Administrator Kevin Gore.
Okay. Under presentations, I have none. I will open the meeting for public comments. Can I have a motion? So moved.
Second.
Councilman Deline, Council President Riker, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address?
Randy Hinton, 443 Montclair Ave. All I'd like to bring up right now is that we had a river cleanup, and I ended up with 3 good guys helping me out on Greenwood Avenue.
Ended up.
Huh?
Ended up with.
Ended up with?
That's one way to put it.
3 good guys, yes. Councilman Giaconetti, Councilman Deline, Garner Summit, and we cleaned that hillside up pretty good. I gotta say that Councilman Giaconetti was a bull. He was dragging stuff up that hill and sweating bullets. And I just want to commend the 3 of them and say it was a good affair run by Maria Kent and the whole team down at Hirschfield. We worked pretty hard and we did a good job. You know, of course, the mayor showed up in his sandals and his shorts.
That's all it takes.
He probably worked hard himself too. So I just want to say it was a great job.
Thank you. That was, I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit. Anybody else from the public like to address? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public session? So moved. Councilman Bennett, Councilman Deline, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Approval of minutes. Motion to approve the following minutes, regular meeting minutes of September 12th, 2018. So moved. Councilman Deline?
Second.
Council President Riker, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Bills and claims. Motion to approve the following bill list as stated below. Councilman Bay?
Second.
Councilman Bennett, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Consent agenda when you're ready.
Anyone wish any resolutions to be closed?
Looks like a no.
You want?
Yes,
Okay.
I would like to have Resolution 18179 pulled for separate.
Whereas the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Pompton Lakes have reviewed the consent agenda consisting of various proposed resolutions, and whereas the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Pompton Lakes does desire to remove resolutions for individual action from that agenda, now therefore be it resolved that the following resolutions on the consent agenda are hereby approved. Resolution 18178 and 18180.
Okay, can I have a motion, please? Councilman President Riker?
Second.
Councilman Bay? Roll call, please.
You can do that. Voice vote.
This is all.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay, first readings.
No.
Oh, you want...
18179.
Resolution for separate action 18-179, rescinding resolution 18164 and designating a portion of the Borough of Pompton Lakes as an area in need of redevelopment, block 2800, lot 11, 9 Hamburg Turnpike.
The reason this resolution is on here is because 18165 designated the same lot as an area in need of redevelopment, but there was language in that resolution which referred to the downtown redevelopment area, and this particular piece of property, even after it's been determined to be an area in need of redevelopment, will not be in the downtown redevelopment area. It will be its own redevelopment area. So that language, having been in that resolution, is incorrect. That's why I'm asking that it be rescinded. And this resolution will do the exact same thing, except it has no language concerning the downtown redevelopment area. If you adopt this, once adopted, then we will move on to the next step, which will be an ordinance which will create a new redevelopment zone that this property will be part of. So what I would ask is that Councilman DeLine move this and Councilman Begg second it.
I have a question, further question on it. If you look at the resolution, it refers to 11 Lennox Avenue and not...
That's 178, this one's...
We would have 178.
Yeah, okay.
So I would ask that Councilman DeLine move it and Councilman Begg second it. And the reason is because you moved and seconded the original resolution.
Okay, are you okay? Motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
Councilman Devine?
And I'll second.
Councilman Begg?
And a roll call.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Begg.
Yes.
Councilman Deline.
Yes.
Councilman Giaconetti.
Yes.
Councilwoman Renker.
Yes.
Councilman Bennett.
Yes.
Ordinances.
Yes,
First
please.
reading, an introduction. Ordinance will be presented for second reading and final adoption on October 10th. Ordinance 18-21, an ordinance amending Section 190-16 of the Borough Administrative Code, adding Section 190-16DD, construction mitigation requirements.
I recognize that this did not go to the committee chair's report first, and the reason is this particular ordinance has been recommended to be moved as quickly as possible by your board engineer, your borough engineer, and your construction and zoning official, so that we have a set of requirements in place because of the fast-moving pace at which things are beginning to happen here. And it's a fairly standard set of requirements, but we never had one. For instance, one of the things in here will prohibit construction on Sundays. You know, we've never had anything in our administrative code like that. So if you have questions, I'll be happy to answer them, but you can't have them amongst yourselves. It's the first reading. But if you have any questions to me, I'll be happy to try and answer them.
So just to follow up on that, we know that redevelopment is coming forward, and we want to make sure we have everything in place to make that move and happen in a prompt and efficient manner. And we noticed there were some things missing from the code when we were doing that. So that's what we're doing here, is trying to catch up on the code a little bit. So if you have any questions for the attorney, now's the time to ask it.
So in I guess, actually, where you talk about prohibiting work on Sundays, it says Sundays are holidays and except on an emergent basis.
Right.
Where are the criteria to determine, and who determines whether it's an emergent basis or not?
The borough determines whether it's emergent, and there aren't criteria. It's in the discretion of the borough.
And is there a point, I think there should be one person that makes that call,
Well,
identified.
Yeah.
It's a construction.
Usually-
Is that
usually would be
wide,
the-
or is it,
But I want to-
what's that?
Well, usually it is the construction official, but I wouldn't want to limit it to that. Because sometimes, remember, we have a part-time construction official. So maybe the administrator has to make that call if somebody comes over here.
How about the mayor?
Well,
Right, well, that's the
make that
problem,
call,
is
you
the
know.
mayor doesn't have the authority
Yeah,
to do
the
something
mayor
like that,
isn't in that chain.
No.
but I think that's why we need to be a little bit more.
But here's the issue, it's on a
penetrative.
Sunday.
Yeah.
So when this is happening, it would be on a Sunday, so we'd have to make sure we're getting hold of somebody on a Sunday to make that happen.
Right.
So whoever you guys decide or add to, it's just someone we have to know that's around. Now, obviously, no one from the town is around on a Sunday. So, Sal is local. Kevin, can always be reached by phone, I'm sure. But just keep that in mind, it's a Sunday.
Right.
Just a minor point of order, there's a typo in this.
Oh, where's that?
Number 4, it's called a construct officer instead of a construction officer. Second page.
Just the second one.
Oh, yeah, I'll fix that, thanks.
I'll correct it in line.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so,
And-
go ahead.
You were concerned about the word emergent, which is in what, paragraph 2B, I think?
2B, that's correct.
I mean, if you want to add the language right now, before we even do, in the discretion of the borough administrator and/or construction official?
Yeah, I would like to add both.
I'm comfortable with that.
Just so you, okay, but again, back in 4, the violation is to the satisfaction of the borough engineer or the construction officer. Do you have any problem with that being an inconsistency?
No. they're
Because
two
it's
di-
emergent?
They're two different things.
Okay, and do you feel that the police should have any role in the emergent?
No, I don't. This is construction of marina.
No, I understand that.
All right, so you're gonna add that, Joe?
Yeah, I'm gonna add.
Okay. Kevin, make sure your phone's on Sundays.
All the time.
So now you,
Right, so you list on number B, two.
I had the motion, right? I made the motions. Roll call, please.
do we have a motion on this?
No.
On the change or on the?
No, let's do the whole motion.
Oh, I thought we had a motion. Okay, I have a
You're gonna
motion?
make the changes before I put it in the paper, correct?
I'll correct them and send it to you.
Okay.
All right, can I have a motion then?
So moved.
Council President Riker? Second. Councilman DeLine? All in favor?
I'm gonna do a roll call.
Yeah, no,
Roll call?
Yeah.
Councilman Bay,
Yes.
Councilman Deline,
Yes.
Councilman Jacanetta,
Yes.
Councilwoman Riker,
Yes.
Councilman Bennett.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance for second reading, this was advertised and posted on the municipal bulletin board. Ordinance 18-20, an ordinance accepting the dedication of public easement consisting of parking spaces and public sidewalk along Lakeside Avenue and Colfax Avenue in accordance with state statute.
Okay.
This ordinance accepts an easement from Lakeside Commons, which will soon become another entity, the name of which is...
Urban
renewal.
Yeah,
It has urban in it.
that'll be another entity. But the reason they're giving the borough an easement is because it was required under the approvals of both the redevelopment agency and the planning board. And this is your ordinance to accept the easement.
Okay, can I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments on ordinance 18-20?
So moved.
Councilman Bennett? Councilman Jacanetta? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address just this ordinance? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the meeting for public comments on ordinance 18-20?
So moved.
Council President Riker, Councilman Jacanetta, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion to approve ordinance 18-20 for final adoption.
So moved.
Councilman Begg,
Second.
Councilman Devine, roll call, please.
Councilman Bay,
Yes.
Councilman Deline,
Yes.
Councilman Jacanetta,
Yes.
Councilwoman Riker,
Yes.
Councilman Bennett.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, under my report, might as well start with, I have a request from the Riverdale First Aid Squad, I'm just going to read it. The Pompton Lakes Riverdale First Aid Squad would like to request the mayor and council's permission to hold a tag sale fundraiser on October 14th, 2018, the rain date of October 21st, 2018, between the hours of 9 and 5. Squad members will be stationed at the intersections of Hamburg Turnpike and Ramapo Avenue seeking funds from motorists. They will be positioned in the yellow no-travel portion of the roadway behind traffic barrels. All participants will be wearing ANSI certified traffic vests for safety. That includes the traffic control plan that has been approved by the Pompton Lakes Police. Can I have a motion? I made it. Councilman Begg. Can I have a second? Second. Councilman Devine. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay, so that approved. Okay, under my report, we might as well start with the river cleanup. Again, I'm always amazed by people who take time out of their day to come out on a Sunday and help the town and help the community. We probably had well over 50 people there. I got to thank you to the environmental club from the high school. They probably brought 20 or so kids with them that went out there and got their hands dirty. Everybody was out and sanctioned in a different part of the town looking to pick up litter, and I can tell you there was large tonnage, it was actually tonnage of garbage that we removed from different areas. So I'd like to thank Maria Kent for putting that together. She puts it together every year. We do get points on our CRS rating because we do that. I'd also like to thank Ed Merrill, who we all know is retiring, or is as of this month going to be retired, right? Friday. He will still, I'm sure, be involved with it. This is something that's close to his heart. And I'd like to thank all the people that showed up to help. I mean, they took time out of their day to help, so I thank everybody for that. Yesterday, I had a meeting with our administrator and DuPont and our DPW supervisor to start thinking about if we want to move our DPW up to an area on DuPont. It's well far into the future. This is just preliminary talks to see if it can even work. And the meeting went well, and we'll take it from there. But, this is years away. This is not days away. I also attended a bid meeting. This year, the bid will be putting an extra $10,000 into new Christmas lights downtown. I think they will improve what we have already, and they have their own ideas on what they'd like to see and how they're doing it, and since they're paying for it, they basically can do that. At the end of the day, though, I think it will work out well. Right now, we don't give enough credit, I think, to the bid sometimes, because I hear a lot of noise about downtown and things. They're just putting mums out in front of 56 large mums they put out downtown in the street. The bid is responsible for that. They pay for the mums, they pay to have them watered, they pay to keep them up. So, the bid tries to keep our downtown looking, for their own advantage, of course, because it is businesses, but it also aids our town, beautifying our town. So I do thank the bid for all the hard work they do, and this is an example of putting $10,000 towards lights is a big thing. I noticed that on our agenda here, we do have the Halloween hunt, October 21st. That's for any resident between the ages of, I think it's 3 and 8th grade. They can come down to Hirschfield Park. It starts at 7 o'clock. There's different age groups to go out, and there'll be pumpkin and cider and events going on at that night. It's all done at Hirschfield Park, put on by the Recreation. There'll also be pumpkin painting at the library on October 13th, and the car show will be October 14th, rain date October 21st. And let me see what else I have here. I think that is my report. That is my report. Thank you. Okay, Council President Wright.
I have a question. You announced the car show October 14th, and prior to that, you announced a first day tag sale October 14th. Is that deliberate, or is that going to be a problem?
Yeah,
That is deliberate.
they want the
That's
traffic.
They want the traffic.
Yes.
Okay, so the police are clearly,
Yes, that was part of
This has been
the,
going on for several years.
okay.
and it is a big fundraiser for them, actually.
Okay, good. I just to follow up, I was at that bid meeting with you. It was very well attended. The bid seems to really have a number of people attending, not only voting members, but people from the community are coming out and getting involved. We have a bid box sale coming up very shortly. It's this weekend, correct?
It's the 13th.
The 13th, okay. You have it in your report?
I have it in my
Okay.
report.
Okay, so they were just reminding us to make that announcement. In terms of the river cleanup, that's an event I usually participate in. Unfortunately, I was celebrating my granddaughter's 3rd birthday, but I do want to extend my congratulations to Ed Merrill on his retirement. Also, in terms of Maria Ken, she really got a tremendous amount of students out there, and each and every year we're getting more and more students. It's an event that's always very high-spirited. It's great that it keeps getting more and more people. I would say the only disappointment was apparently we didn't pull any toilets out of the lake this year,
That's a
which
good news.
we traditionally do, which is a very good thing. The ordinance that we introduced this evening, the mayor mentioned that redevelopment is coming. There's lots and lots of meetings that we are participating in trying to make sure that the redevelopment goes forward. And this mitigation ordinance that we have introduced this evening not only was recommended by our borough engineer, but indicated to us during the discussion how many communities use it, and that they anticipate that it will be very helpful to all those participating in redevelopment, that we have it on the books, that they all can see upfront what the expectation is, so we don't end up in a bit of a bind. A couple of events I just want to mention. The Women's Club is having their annual tag sale this Friday in front of the post office. Their tag sale is for the benefit of the library. So if you see us out there, you realize that that's what we're collecting for. They'll be there on Friday and Saturday morning. The fire, our fire department has their open house before our next meeting. And I just want to make sure I have it right. It's Monday, October 8th, and I think it starts at 6. And parents are encouraged to bring their kids, and that's in conjunction with Fire Prevention Week. There's something else that I do want to share with not only the council, but anyone in the audience and people who might be watching this sooner rather than later. We got an email this afternoon from Diane Gila. Diane is probably one of our hardest working volunteers. She's been instrumental in establishing the Pompton Lakes Education Foundation. She's responsible for putting together a number of fundraisers where they've raised thousands and thousands of dollars to be used in our schools. She has a fundraiser scheduled this Sunday afternoon. It's an Oktoberfest beer and wine tasting. However, she is short a few people for the minimum. So I printed out the flyer so we can pass it around. We can put it over here on the side table. But the basic details are it's from 2 to 5. It's this Sunday afternoon. She said for all sports fans, she can assure you that there'll be TVs that you can watch your football games. You won't miss them. It's at Tree Tavern in Wanacue, so it's really quite close. And it will include hors d'oeuvres and more than 20 beers, plus some wine tasting. Her information is on the sheet, and I would hate to see her have to cancel this event. She's short just a few to meet the minimum. So if anyone here on the dais or anyone in the audience can come or knows someone who can come, I encourage you to. And this is the flyer, and I guess I'll just pass it this way so then it can make it into the audience. And Mayor, I think that's my report.
Okay, thank you. Just two things I forgot that I'm sure Councilman Venon will talk about. I also attended the historical meeting last night, and they have a lot going on there, and I'm sure he'll address that. And also just a shout out that tomorrow night is an Alliance meeting over in our Alliance office across the street, next to the Cardinal. It starts at 7 o'clock. All parents are welcome. If you're concerned about your children and the situations with drug and alcohol in our town, the state, and the country, then I would ask you to attend and get involved. It's very important, and we feel it's very important up here to try to address that. So please try to get there at 7 o'clock if you'd like. Okay, Councilman Bennett.
Thank you, Mayor. So speaking of the PLEF, that Pompton Lakes Education Foundation that Diane worked so hard to raise money for, I attended the Lincoln School back-to-school night the last week, and the technology that's made available to the teachers and the students through these grants and donations from the fundraisers that Diane runs, the beefsteak, I think it's coming up, right? Yeah. This Oktoberfest. Teachers are using microphones that allow them to project their voice to the back of the classroom, so students that are, used to be unfortunate to sit towards the back, or fortunate, however you look at it, sit in the back and still hear the teacher. The Chromebooks that are available to kindergartners, first graders, it's amazing. So, and this is through grants, not from the budget that, the Board of Ed budget. River cleanup, it's been mentioned a few times already. I was part of the team that went down to Carlo Field. We worked very hard to remove the silt fencing temporarily that had fallen, wind them up, and then for future use. I'd like to thank Ed Merrill for his years of service for the borough, and good luck in your retirement. I know you'll still be around. Maria Kent, thank you for coordinating the event. Another interesting day, interesting thing I attended is a thing called Parking Day. They held it in Montclair, the one I attended was in Montclair, but apparently it's a global thing. And basically, it's more for like urban areas, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, Councilman. Can be done anywhere, but I think it's, what I got was turning basically it turns a couple parking spaces into a mini park, also known as a parklet. And basically, different firms will come out and put this together and make it so that a parking space in the middle of a downtown is somewhere inviting. In this case, there was some art, little cutouts, little children cutouts that act as bollards, so to speak, to block the traffic, and kids can draw on it. It's something that I'd like to look into for Pompton Lakes at some point. It would bring people into town, because it's something interesting. Historic Commission was last night meeting. The idea of the Historic Society continues to be developed and talked about, and this Historic Society would be very similar to what the library does with the Friends of the Library. It would be the fundraising arm, the nonprofit side of it, of the Historic Society, where we can raise funds and hopefully with the vision of eventually having a museum for Pompton Lakes with all the artifacts and history that, there's so much history for this town. I didn't grow up here, but just hearing the folks that have been here for most of their lives, there's a lot that's not on display that a lot of people don't know. Also, a reminder that 2020 is the 125th year since the founding of Pompton Lakes. I think I started mentioning this probably last year, and the year ticks by, so we gotta, at some point, seriously dig our heels in it and look to see what we'd like to do for that. Last night's zoning board meeting, the application for the senior housing parking lot continues. I'm not sure if there was a resolution last night.
It failed.
Oh, it didn't pass, okay. I had another commitment.
At a very long meeting.
Yes. So, senior housing parking did not pass. And that is my report, thank you.
Okay, just to comment on the 125th year anniversary, we will probably get our guidance from the committee, so they should probably come together with some ideas they'd like to see us do, and then we can say yes or no to that. I don't think we here are going to decide how to make the celebration.
Or have if anybody has any ideas, because we're just tossing out ideas.
Yeah, so if they want something done or presented or read, or, you know, they need to let us know what they would like, so just pass that on to them.
Got it.
Okay, Councilman Bay.
Thank you. I received the Pompton Lakes Police Department report for the month of August from Chief Moses Augusto. There were 1,936 calls for services for the month of August, 814 motor vehicle stops, 351 motor vehicle summonses issued, 24 motor vehicle accidents investigated, 2 DWI arrests, 25 alarm conditions burglary, 17 alarm conditions fire, 3 fire calls, 42 ambulance requests, 5 burglaries, 6 thefts, 7 domestics, no sexual assaults and no aggravated assaults. The Detective Bureau investigated 20 complaints, served 22 summonses, and 1 warrant. I received the Pompton Lakes Fire Department report for the month of August from Inspector Al Bruno. There were 26 alarms for the month. A reminder that the Business Improvement District will be having the bid box sale. It's at 274 Wanacue Avenue, and that'll be on October 13th. The Pompton Lakes Chamber of Commerce, as was mentioned, the annual car show on Wanacue Ave. That's October 14th. And on October 8th, the Rotary Club is having their steak and chop dinner, and Diane Gellick is the honoree of the dinner. And that's my report.
Okay.
He's the only Rotarian on the dais if we need to, right?
I think we have a ticket. I guess the missing people from our audience today are all at the 3M band concert that's going on at the high school right now. So if you're watching this live, well, you can't even watch it live, so it doesn't really matter announcing it, but the 3M band is playing tonight in the high school. Okay, Councilman Devine.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I just wanted to start with the river cleanup. I wanted to thank Maria Kent, who's the chair of the Environmental Protection Committee, Julie Donkos, the rest of the committee, Ed Merrill, everyone who attended. That was one of the first events I really did in Pompton Lakes 10 years ago. Was 2008. It was my first river cleanup, and some events kind of wax and wane over time. This year, like you said, I think we had upwards of 50 people participating. So it was really good to see this great event continue to go strong. It started, I think, a lot of times in the springtime. Dealing with allergies, and now I get to deal with the allergies in the fall. But we covered so much area. Like Mr. Hinton said, him, Frank, myself, and Gardner Samet were at Post Brook, which again I don't ever remember covering. But because we had so many people, we were able to cover a lot more places. So really happy to see it go strong. It's a great event, and hopefully we'll get even more people next year, because the more people we have, the more places we can take care of. The prior day, I attended the Riverdale First Responders 5K. We actually had a number of our first aid squad helping out during the event. It was tremendous weather, great turnout by both communities, Riverdale and Pompton Lakes, and everybody who ran in the event. So again, it was the Riverdale First Responders 5K, but part of them is us as part of the First Aid Squad. So it was a great event to support. And then right after the last council meeting, at the Open Space Committee meeting, actually discussed a lot of the things that we had talked about at the council meeting before related to Sustainable Jersey, the river cleanup, a number of other things. Just wanted to point out a couple things coming up. The Flood Advisory Board is hosting a rain garden workshop on Saturday, October 13th at 10 a.m. in the Pompton Lake Civic Center. Like last year, there's a number of professionals that will be there to help provide design technical assistance to anyone looking to start a rain garden in their own yard. Part of it, I think part of the hurdle for some people is figuring out what to plant, how to do it, things like that. So they're going to be on hand to really provide that guidance. And then the next day, on Sunday, October 14th, this may be the last of this year's Family Hike Series. We're going to Pochuck Valley up in the Vernon area. We're actually going to be looking to meet at Hirschfield Park at 8:30 a.m. to carpool up there because parking is limited near the trailhead. And that concludes my report, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Like you said, the event is growing, and I actually had a resident call me who wasn't at the event, who said she would like to attend, but she also asked if we could address the Ringwood Avenue corridor from near Twin Lakes on both sides of Ringwood Avenue, which theoretically it's a county road, they should be cleaning it, but they don't really do the best of jobs cleaning it there. And if you drive by there, it is an area that has a lot of litter, so maybe that's something we can add to the event next year.
Yeah, I mean, it's, part of it's just having enough people on hand
I agree.
Real quick, Mayor, I have something to add. Councilman Purcell from Riverdale reached out to me, expressing interest in helping out next year. So there could be some coordination as well as working on both sides of rivers and whatnot.
Okay, Councilman Giacomelli.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to start off by wishing a happy retirement to Ed Earl. Known when I was back on the council back in the 90s, and always a hard worker then, and continue to this day. And he was out there guiding us along. Well, you can go over here and clean this up. You can clean this up over here. So he helped coordinate it with Maria and everybody with the cleanup. But I want to wish him well in his retirement. I'm sure he'll be around, and much happiness and health in his endeavors. I also wanted to thank Maria and the rest of the Pompton Lakes River cleanup. They did a great job, like everybody echoed. I worked with Councilman DeLine, Randy, and Garner, and these guys worked me to the bone, I tell you that. They got you 2 hours worth out of it. Let me tell you. Hey, you missed the car. Hey, Frank, you got a little lower. Get that. He's there. I was out. Let me tell you, I went to watch a football game. I was out like a light. So, but thank you. It was good working with you guys. We had a lot of fun, a lot of banter, a lot of back and forth, and we even had Garner out there, so which was good to see. Yeah. So, thank you to everybody. It was a great time. I went to the back to school night. It's my second to last one with my son. Every year I'm more and more impressed with everything going on. Vince Problinski and everybody over there are doing a great job, and again, with all the teachers and everything, and much kudos to them. Every year it's more and more, so again, it was awesome. The one thing I did have, had a few residents approach me with, maybe bring this with Councilman Begg, with the signs that Councilman Bennett had put out with the crosswalk. All right, and their biggest pet peeve, I was at the Cardinal. All right, and their biggest pet peeve is, listen, we have all these children, all these people that jaywalk in between. They say, it's so nice you have signs on either side of Warnock Ave coming either way. That's wonderful. But it goes, 3 or 4 people maybe use a crosswalk. Besides that, everybody's using the jaywalking. So he mentioned to me, because you were an ex-officer, and Councilman Begg up there, how about we start giving some tickets for jaywalkers? Because really, we both have to work together. Just in the paper the other day, they talking about somebody from Ridgewood was struck and killed. Look at the paper last month. Several people have been struck and killed, pedestrians. It really is a good point to maybe try to coincide a little bit of both. Both got to maybe work together.
Well, what I would suggest, and I agree that...
Yeah, they brought up, I thought it was this.
I don't want to go straight to a ticket right off the top.
No, of course not, but,
Officer, stop them, tell them what they're doing wrong, and saying, look,
Yeah.
you know, this is what you're supposed to be doing, and say, look, this is kind of a verbal warning, if you get caught doing it again, you're gonna get a ticket. I will tell you that 90% of those are the kids coming from the high school. They
I
just
know.
cross wherever they want, they don't look, they don't stop, they've got their
Exactly.
head things on, and they're walking. So, it is something we have to address, but it is dangerous, those trucks come down the road. You have something going on?
Yeah, actually, it brings up a good point. I was gonna wait till another point, but, Transoptions, which is a transportation management or agency, that operates in Passaic County, Essex County, things like that, have, something that they call a Street Smart campaign. And I've actually started just looking into it, what's entailed in actually getting that campaign brought. And one of the things, and we haven't had any further discussions other than, hey, what is this? Can you send me some information? But one of the things that they actually do is they will measure people's actions and attitudes and things like that prior to the campaign. And they'll do a public education campaign, some related to, paying attention when they're driving, crossing at crosswalks, heads up, phone down, those kind of things that sort of say, especially in the busy Wanacue Avenue corridor, this is a place that you need to be acting safely one way or the other, whether you're a driver or a pedestrian. And they'll go through this campaign for a month or two or whatever it is, and then they'll actually go ahead and they'll actually measure again, if there's a reduction in those illegal crossings and stopping for pedestrians and all of those kind of things. So, again, if the council is interested in something like that, it'd be nice.
Is there a cost involved?
There is no cost involved.
Then I'm in.
I know, free is your favorite word.
Free is my favorite word.
Free for me.
Thank you, yes,
So
absolutely.
I'll reach
Yeah,
out to them
definitely.
and see if
I
I can
appreciate it.
coordinate something maybe for like the springtime.
That sounds good, that's something we can look into.
I would tell you, one of my biggest concerns is the texting and whatnot, not only drivers, but pedestrians.
Pedestrians.
I mean, if you really are around town, and look,
Yeah.
we've had
Exactly.
pedestrians struck more recently.
Yeah.
One on Ringwood Avenue and one on Moore Street.
Yeah.
So one of the things we can use to our advantage is the new SOS, what is it, SRO officer
Yeah.
is starting this month. Maybe that's something he can kind of start addressing at the high school level with the kids, start talking to them as they're walking in and out.
Yeah.
So maybe
Bill, mention it to the chief, yeah, it's a good idea, that's a perfect idea, absolutely.
it is a problem. It's not a
There
problem.
is a plan coming.
Yeah, okay.
Regarding, the crosswalks and the
Yeah.
uses of them. So-
Listen, they were happy, like I
You'll
said.
see them out there.
I promised them I would bring it up at the meeting,
Okay.
being televised. They were happy that the crosswalk got painted, looks good, they were clearer, we got the signs, but this was their concern, I agreed with them, that's why I brought it up, so, that's all I have, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Councilman Palladori is not here, but she sent her report, so I will just highlight her report. The library, the summer reading program ran through the library, was a success. Read to Dog, which was the book that was pushed this year to read, was a huge success. Many people came to readings of the book, and it was brought up in schools and different places, and they look forward to doing it to another facility or another book. Later on, it'll be okay. Rec Commission, on behalf of the Rec Committee, I was happy to report that the Get Fit program that started this week, September 24th, was very well received. They had 62 people in attendance last night. That's a large group of people. The program continues on Monday nights through November 21st at Lincoln School from 7 to 8. The classes vary from yoga to boot camp to other activities. The cost is $35 for 10 classes, pretty cheap. $50 for 16, or $5 drop-in fee. So you can just show up on a Monday night and pay $5 at Lincoln School. I think it's an hour. The Halloween pumpkin, we talked about. Costumes are optional, but please bring a flashlight. And to remind everyone, the Teen Center is open to middle school students Monday through Thursday from 3 to 10, and on Fridays from 3 to 6. She attended the MUA meeting. She took a tour because she's a new councilwoman of the MUA and was very impressed with how it's run there. Hydrant flushing began Monday the 24th and will continue between the hours of 12 a.m. and 6 a.m. for approximately 2 weeks. So if you start to see a little brown water or a lot of air in your lines, that's because they're flushing the hydrants. The next 2 weeks, they usually do it in the early morning hours, so when you get up early and you see air in your lines, or maybe a little brown tint to it, that's what's going on. Please do not call the police if that happens. Just keep in mind that the MUA is flushing the
The
hydrants.
hours between 12 and 6 a.m.
12 a.m. and 6 a.m., yes.
Right.
Okay, but I say, second, no? Okay.
Yes.
And Mayor, remember, the voice of Pompton Lake said, run your cold water till it becomes clear.
What's that?
The voice of Pompton Lake over the weekend when we got the call.
Oh.
Make sure to run your cold water till it becomes clear. Cold water.
So you mean the 17 phone calls I got?
Yeah, exactly, over the weekend. Make sure you run it cold.
Can't repeat it enough, yes. Professional reports.
I just mentioned to you, I don't know whether you've noticed the crosswalk lights that Bloomingdale has installed throughout the town. The flashing lights, they certainly show you where the crosswalks are.
Are they, they're on the signs that you
Yes.
see?
And
Okay.
They have circuit,
Are
they
they-
blink gold, or
Do they continually blink?
Like amber,
constantly.
yellow?
Okay, so I actually would not recommend those kind of things, because what it is, it's actually conditioned, well, forgetting that side, but they actually condition, it's the same thing. Eventually, people just get used to the fact that there's a sign constantly blinking, and you're not paying any attention any more than what you used to. In the beginning, you're gonna say, okay, now I have a flashing, pedestrian sign. They actually have signs that are actuated, whether it's a mid-block crossing that you can push, and that's when the signs blink. So it's dynamic, so it changes the condition when somebody's crossing, as opposed to constantly flashing. People are just gonna get used to constantly flashing.
I think their only purpose was to show where the crosswalks are, though. I think that's the only purpose they serve.
Yeah, but I mean, I think the idea is that if people aren't paying attention when there's not flashing signs, eventually they're not gonna pay attention when there is flashing
We
signs.
also have lighting that actually demarcates the crosswalk.
That's what I-
I will tell you, those signs in
That's
general,
expensive,
we've tried them with stops and
Yeah.
other things at Lakeside Avenue, and either they get hit and are destroyed.
But they were
in an
stolen.
accident, Or
They're stolen.
they've been stolen twice.
Yeah, stolen.
So we go through those signs like nothing, and they're very expensive to replace each
Yeah.
time. So, I mean, I would hope we could do it more first way you did it, than trying to put up signs every time someone steals one, replacing it
Oh,
again.
the first way was free.
That was
Do
free.
it that way, yeah.
I'm okay with that. That's it, so, yeah. Administrator's report.
Just a couple of things, Mayor. Tomorrow, the EPA and DEP are having a public availability session here at Borough Hall from 9:30 to 6:30. The information is my report. We received the bids for the summer ag retaining wall. The bids came in very well. Based on engineers' estimates, they'll be awarded on October the 10th. The fall tree planting, as you know, we received our C6 grant from the state. And we received $30,000, we put in a $15,000 match. The RFQs come in on Monday. If we do the numbers right, we're planting over 100 new trees in town under that grant. And the trees are planted a 2-year guarantee, so we'll be able to make sure the trees have sustainability going forward. We received our monthly report from our IT service, and it gives an outline of what's going on, and what they're doing and what our system's doing. Grant Avenue paving project came in today. That bid came in again right on target. For the most part, we'll end up spending, technically, out of our own pocket, about 40 grand, because the state grant was $220,000, so that bid came in very well. And lastly, I applied for an energy audit through PSE&G to do things like potentially upgrade lighting. Vito did that before I got here, to put in all the automatic lights and so forth like that. This way we can actually pay for new heating systems, air conditioning systems, things of that nature. So we're going to be doing town hall, fire department, the library, and DPW. That's the report. In terms of Ed Merrill, I just want to say a couple things that people who know or don't know. Ed was the founding person in the environment. There was no Environmental Commission. Ed came to a council meeting and said, we need one. He's been involved in the borough for over 4 decades, working for the town. More importantly, his family's been involved in the borough since the beginning of town. In fact, today he brought me a copy of the onion skin parchment that was in his grandfather's house that actually had the articles and voting of the incorporation of this town back in the day. And just so you know, there were 127 people allowed to vote. This town was incorporated by 11 votes. That's how close it was. Only 11 votes separated incorporating this town, from not incorporating this town.
Wow.
So,
Like in
he'll be sorry.
1895, right? 1895 was, yeah.
Excuse me?
1895,
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, because the vote was taken in his grandfather's store, which is actually where Rick's hardware store is now.
Yeah, just to follow up with that, I was going to say it at the end, but the thing with Ed Merrill is more the fact that he really cared about the residents and would take the time to talk to a resident about any concern they had. If it was flooding, he would tell you to come into the office, sit down, he would take out maps, he would take out old articles, he would spend an hour with you, each individual as he came in. He did it to myself when I first came in 25 years ago. I was questioning where I was buying a house, and he pulled out maps, and he showed me things, and he gave me years of when things were happening. Same thing with the plume. He can tell you every tree we have in this town, where it is, what it does, if it's good, if it's bad. He's going to be missed greatly, but I'm sure we can still use his knowledge at some point in the future, and we'll see how that goes. So I'm sure this whole council is going to miss him, but I'm sure we'll bring him in for a day of, if he would like to be recognized. One question, tomorrow when the EPA is here, the EPA and the DEP,
That's what's in the paperwork I have. Yeah.
I know, I understand. So are they doing presentation, or are they meeting individually?
They said no presentation. In the announcement you gave us, it said no presentation.
It says that there'll be no formal meeting or presentations, but it does have to be about to speak to representatives. That's it.
So it's just basically what they do on Thursday, just here, I guess.
One longer session.
Longer session.
Okay, so,
But DEP is coming as well?
That's what it says here.
for the residents who are watching this on television or on the computer, yes, tomorrow, if you still have concerns or questions about what's going on in the plume or with the DuPont cleanup or the lake process, tomorrow would be a good day to come down. You can speak to both sides of the groups that are involved, the DEP, the EPA. It's not an open forum, so you can go sit in a corner and have a discussion about anything you'd like with them. Again, I always go back to the fact that these are the people that really have the answers to what we're asking. So if you have a concern or a question, they're the people to get the right answer from. There's a lot of misinformation out there sometimes, and I think we have to go with what we consider our experts here, which is the EPA and DEP. So please take advantage of that. Sometimes there's not a lot of people here for that, and I would wish more people would show up with that. I would also hope that any new residents in town that just purchased a house in town who are questioning what goes on with this, because they hear a lot of things from a lot of different places, this would be the time to come and get some answers for that, even if you don't live in the plume. Yes? I think it's all day, right?
All day, 9:30 to 6:30.
9:30 to 6:30. So they do have those late hours for the people who are still, working. You can come spend 10 minutes and talk to somebody here. Any questions for the administrator? I have one. On the Summit project, when do we plan on that happening? Is that rain?
Sounds like rain.
Once the bid's awarded, it will happen very quickly. So I'm thinking later in the month.
Later this
The bid's gonna be awarded.
in October, okay. Because, and they think they can finish it before the end of the,
That's not easy to work through cold weather and just paving the roads, so yes.
Okay, and then just for the public's concern, the county is addressing or looking at the engineering of the two bridges, right, at some point?
Oh, no, that bid came in, we're doing a pre-construction meeting sometime this month. That bid came in last council meeting on Lakeside, by the park and also over the river, yeah.
So do they have?
Oh, it did, okay.
So did they have are they going to do a presentation on anything, or just gonna do it?
No, it's not a pre-construction meeting, and it doesn't
Okay.
presentation.
Okay, any questions from him? Okay, can I have a motion to open the meeting for public comment?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Giaconetti, Councilman Bennett, all in favor? Aye. Against? Anyone from the public like to address? Come on, step up.
Randy Hitton, 443 Montclair Avenue. Just a question on the Summit Avenue work. Is Summit Avenue going to be shut down and they'll go out Hemlock, or is it going to be?
There's going to be two-way traffic at some point, and other points will be up Hemlock. The tenant's going to work they'll be doing.
Are there going to be trees removed from the
No, I don't believe there are. I think most of that escarpment's pretty well below the tree line.
Is the retaining wall going to be constructed?
Yeah, it has to be. The roads fall apart.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's private property, but that's the village, it's private property.
Both of them are, yeah, but I mean, there's borough right of way on each
Yeah,
side.
something is part of it.
So some trees will be removed, or you don't know.
I think they're trying to avoid doing that. I'll be back with the plan, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else from the public like to address? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public session? Council President Riker, Councilman Giaconetti, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Approval of the floor, anybody approve of the floor? I'd like, okay, what's your next?
I'd just like to thank Maria Kent and Ed for organizing the cleanup this weekend, and congratulate Ed on his retirement. You know, he's been here for a long time, he's got a wealth of knowledge about the town. His family's been here, as was said before, for a long time. Where the firehouse is, was a family house. So, I wish him well, and I'm sure he'll be around to help us in the future.
Somebody else there?
Yeah, I wanted to address Ed outside of my report, but, again, I kind of moved into town in 2007, started volunteering soon after, so, started as a volunteer with the Environmental Protection Committee, the Open Space Committee, and then I've been a liaison to both committees for the last 3 years, so I've been, working with Ed, on a number of things in the last 10 years. Ed, I mean, people have known him longer, but, nobody has, I think, put their heart and soul into their job more than Ed has in this town. He's been unfairly attacked, for a variety of reasons related to his position and the funding associated with it. His qualifications have been questioned, because he doesn't have a degree in environmental sciences or something like that. I challenge anyone to find an environmental scientist that knows the ecology of Pompton Lakes better than Ed Merrill does. And the entire time, he just kind of kept his head down, stayed professional, kept doing what he knew was right. As far as a full-time employee, we're definitely going to be hurt, I think, by his retirement. Fortunately, I don't think he'll be quite so far away that he won't be able to help out on a number of things. I've learned a lot from him, and I just want to wish him a happy retirement.
Okay, I'm sure everybody agrees on that, and agrees with that. Anybody else? Okay, motion adjourned.
Second.
Councilman Giaconetti, Councilman Bennett. Thank you, everyone.
We have 3 M's to thank.
Councilman, you don't leave